Artyom Sokolov, a 52-year-old geologist researcher, was drilling rock samples near the old Black Reef Lighthouse on that windy August morning in the year 2023. A thunderstorm was approaching, and the air was thick with the smell of salt and dampness. He was there to assess the stability of the cliffs for an upcoming lighthouse restoration project. It was routine work that he had been doing for many years. That's when his drill hit something solid that wasn't rock. At first, he thought it was just a large granite boulder, but when he chipped off a piece of the outer rock, his heart skipped a beat. Beneath the layer of rock was a smooth, polished surface. He carefully cleared the area, and his eyes widened in shock. He saw the outline of a child's face, perfectly sculpted with soft features, but made of stone. It was a statue that had been lying there for 25 years. It was perfectly preserved, as if it had been hidden from the weather. But the creepiest thing was that the name Maria was engraved on a small pedestal at the statue's feet. He immediately remembered that name. In this small coastal town, that name was synonymous with tragedy. This discovery forever changed the 25-year-old mystery that had haunted hundreds of people. Artyom had no idea that this ordinary morning would become the most unsettling day of his life. What was about to be discovered had remained hidden for a quarter of a century, awaiting this moment. In the coming minutes, a 25-year-old mystery would finally be revealed. The town of Nevsky Utes would never be the same after this discovery. It was autumn of 1998. A cold wind drove gray clouds over the Black Reef Lighthouse. The lighthouse stood on top of a steep, precipitous cliff, isolated from the rest of the world. A single narrow road snaked along the coast leading to it. Locals had always considered this place special, almost mystical. Below, at the foot of the cliff, lay a rocky cove where children loved to play, despite their parents' warnings. 7 children, the oldest of whom was 12 years old and the youngest only 7, were inseparable friends. Their names were Maria, Yegor, Liza, Sasha, Danila, Alya, and Ilya. On that fateful day, October 13th, they agreed to meet at the lighthouse after school. They wanted to explore the sea caves that opened up during low tide. It was the last warm day of autumn, and they wanted to spend it together. They were full of laughter and carefree joy. Their parents weren't too worried because they always played together. Around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a thick, unnatural fog slowly began to roll in from the sea. It enveloped the cliff, the lighthouse, and the entire coast. The fog was so dense that nothing could be seen from a distance of a few meters. This was very strange for this time of year. When the children didn't return by 6 p.m., the parents panicked. They ran to the lighthouse, where they were met by the caretaker, Ivan Petrovich, an elderly and withdrawn man. He told them that he had seen the children playing, and then they were swallowed up by the fog. He said they must have gotten lost or worse. Hundreds of volunteers immediately began searching for them. Police officers and rescuers combed every meter of the cliff and coastline. The entire Coast Guard was involved, but not a single trace was found. No backpack, no shoe, not even a note. It was as if the 7 children had simply vanished into thin air. No one could understand how they could have disappeared without a trace. There was no evidence. Questions remained unanswered. Several years passed, and then decades. The mystery of the Black Reef Lighthouse became a local legend. Over time, the tragedy faded into the background. But for the families who had lost their children, the pain never subsided. They continued to live with the ghosts of their sons and daughters, losing hope with each passing day. The case was closed. It was declared that the children had drowned in the sea when they were caught by the tide. But many people, including the young detective Alexei Dmitriev, always had doubts. Alexei Dmitriev, who was then just a patrol investigator, was obsessed with the case. He knew that something was wrong, but he lacked evidence. He interrogated the lighthouse keeper, Ivan Petrovich, who lived there alone, many times. But Ivan was impenetrable. His stories were consistent but seemed mechanical. Ivan retired in 2005 and died soon after. His whole life had been the lighthouse, and after his departure, the place remained a silent guardian of its secrets. Alexei always felt that the secret was hidden inside the lighthouse itself. He thought the caretaker was hiding something. He knew that Ivan was a strange man. His hobby, which he hid from outsiders, was carving figurines out of stone, small, almost doll-like. Alexei thought it was just an eccentricity. He couldn't even imagine that this hobby had a much more sinister meaning. What happened next will shock you. Meanwhile, in the rocky depths of the cliff, the children were not dead, but immortalized. They had been turned to stone not of their own free will, but because of Ivan's twisted beliefs. Ivan Petrovich was part of a small, secret cult. He believed that the Black Reef Cliff possessed a special crystalline energy that could stop aging and make something immortal. He believed that souls trapped in stone would live forever. He kidnapped the children on the day they were enveloped in fog, using it for his own purposes. He promised to show them something amazing. They trusted him. They didn't know he was leading them to their doom. He led them along secret paths carved into the cliff that only he knew, and there, in a secret cave, he performed his terrible ritual. He believed he was saving them from death, that he was making them immortal. His motive was a twisted form of love and faith. 25 years later, Artyom Sokolov's accidental find began to unravel the thread of this dark story. When the police recovered the first statue, they called the man who could never forget this case, Alexei Dmitriev. He was already 72 years old and retired, but his mind remained sharp. He arrived at the scene, and his heart beat faster than ever. He immediately recognized the style. These were the statues created by Ivan Petrovich. He had always felt that Ivan was somehow involved. Now that the statues had been found, he knew that his suspicions were justified. He knew that the truth was somewhere nearby. He had to come out of retirement to find it. He felt that the families deserved to know the truth, no matter how terrible it was. Alexei began to carefully examine the lighthouse and Ivan's old house, which had remained sealed since the day he died. No one had ever dared to enter it because it was like a museum of tragedy. Inside, Alexei found a diary hidden behind a false wall in the study. The diary was written in Ivan's handwriting, and it was full of crazy entries and drawings. It was his personal, macabre account of the events that had occurred 25 years ago. Ivan wrote in his diary that he could not leave this life without telling the truth. He was sick, and his mind was beginning to clear. In his writings, he described his guilt and a strange sense of pride in what he had done. He wrote that the families deserved to know that their children had not died, but had simply been turned to stone. But what happened next was even stranger. At that moment, Alexei realized that the truth he was looking for was far more shocking than he could have imagined. It wasn't just a kidnapping. It was something much worse. He felt that this secret was too heavy to bear alone. He knew that the world should know it. He knew that the families should know where their children were. Ivan's diary was read by Alexei and the police, and its contents were so horrific that they had to gather the families together to break the news to them. They couldn't tell them over the phone. They had to tell them in person. The diary detailed how Ivan had deceived the children, luring them into his secret cave, which he called the Temple of Eternal Life. He described how he carved each child, how he whispered to them what he believed were prayers, as he sealed them in stone. He wrote that Maria was the first. He described her as an angel who was too pure for this world. He wanted her to live forever, and he believed he had done it. He wrote that he saw her body slowly turn to stone, her skin hardening and her eyes closing as if she were falling asleep. Then there was Jaeger, the oldest of them. Ivan wrote that Jaeger fought, but his strength was insignificant compared to the power of the cliff. He described how he turned him into stone so that he would become the protector of the others. He also described how he transformed Liza, Sasha, Danila, Alya, and Ilya, each with a specific twisted intention. He wrote that he did it to keep them safe. He wrote that he hid them in the rocks so that no one could ever find them. He wrote that he kept them as his most precious treasures. He wrote that he visited them regularly to make sure they were safe and that he talked to them as if they were still alive. The diary contained numerous drawings depicting them as they were at the moment of their transformation, with their names engraved on them. It was even more shocking than a simple confession. The family's reaction was shock, grief, and anger. They didn't cry. They just sat in a stupor. They thought their children had drowned, but now they learned that their children had not only been killed, but that their remains had been turned into statues. It was too much to bear. They were victims not just of a tragedy, but of a terrible madness. The discovery of these 7 statues shocked not only the town of Nevsky Utes, but the entire country. News of the stone children spread quickly, and the Black Reef Lighthouse became a place of pilgrimage. Police and a team of experts were dispatched to the site to locate all 7 statues. It was a difficult job, but they found them all. All 7 statues were hidden in various places within the cliff like precious gems. The statues were transported to a special center for study and preservation. They were a true work of art, but their story was too dark to be enjoyed. These were their children, their flesh and blood, who had been turned to stone. It was so terrible that it defied all explanation. The families now had to face a new, cruel reality. Their children were not lost at sea. They were here in town, but in a different form. They could touch them, but they couldn't hug them. It was so heartbreaking that many of them couldn't bear it. The police also began an investigation to find possible accomplices. In his diary, Ivan mentioned no one but himself, but Alexei Dmitriev was not convinced. He discovered that Ivan had a daughter who had left town shortly before his death. Her name was Anna. She was Ivan's only child, and she was very withdrawn, just like him. Alexei believed that she may have known about his actions or even helped him. But Anna disappeared without a trace, and her whereabouts remain unknown. Some say that she was as crazy as her father, while others believe that she was a victim of his madness. The lighthouse was restored, but now it was a symbol not only of hope, but of terror. Its light was a constant reminder of the children who had been lost and then found in the most terrible form. The 7 stone statues were displayed in a special memorial garden that was built in their honor. It was a place where families could come and spend time with their children. They could touch them, talk to them, and mourn them. It was a place of grief, but also a place of solace. For the residents of the town, this story became a grim warning that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. The mystery was finally solved, but its consequences remained for a long time. The families found some kind of solace knowing that their children were not simply lost, but they knew that their lives would never be the same. The truth about the Black Reef Lighthouse remains one of the darkest stories ever told, and although it was filled with tragedy, it was also filled with hope. Hope that, even in the darkest situations, the truth will always find its way out.